Hello, everyone.
Hello, hello.
Yay. Lunch and Learn is back. I
Finally.
feel like I'm actually sitting in the kitchen right now. Like we're having lunch right here.
You are lunching right now, that's for sure.
So, hey, Justin, it's been a whirlwind. We have been all over the place since we've done one of these. Let's see, we've been at WPPI.
I was like, when was the last time we did this? And
The last time you and I did this together, it was before WPPI. So since then, we've been to WPPI. We've been to Reset Conference. I was at Hustle and Heels, and then we were all at Shutterfest. So we've been a lot of places. You did do one live while I was actually at Hustle and Heels that same day. But so this is the first time we've been back together.
I just played around in AfterShoot one day. I remember that. That was a thing, huh?
That was fun. So so it's fantastic to be back.
Yes.
So if you are hanging out here,
say hello.
Come and say hello. And I am going to I'm going to mute myself for a second so I don't go into the vortex, but I'm going to post a link in the Facebook group so people can click the link. It'll make it show us your names. And so if you haven't already, let us know. Oh, look, and there's people we've seen recently. Justin and Ning, Vitaly, what's up?
How's it going, guys? Jen Stitt, hello. Hello. I can't see. There was a Facebook user, hi Facebook user who can't see. Hello. Thank you guys all for joining us. We're super excited to just be back and say hi. And Lunch and Learns, if this is your first Lunch and Learn, hi Jerry Fisher. If this is your first Lunch and Learn, we are here to answer questions. I will be showing off some AfterShoot stuff as always, right? So I'll go ahead and share my screen in a little bit, and we'll show you some of the new things that are coming, and just kind of go through some stuff and show you what life is about, and answer any questions you may have, any feature suggestions, whatever it is. We're here for 54 more minutes to just be with you guys. So whatever you guys want us to do, comment below. Hi Keith, hi Don, hi James. James likes turtles. I like turtles too. I have a gecko behind me. You can't see him, but I like lizards as well. Hi Tom, just had dinner. Where are you, Tom? Lunch and dinner. That's fine. Ning Wang just did a corporate shoot on Friday. 6,000 plus photos. Letting those unicorns do their magic. Ning, do you ever check your how many photos you've taken on your camera? Because 6,000 is a lot. And I just did the other day, and I saw that one of my Nikon D750s is at 339,000 photos. And
I'm afraid to look at one of my Canon bodies. I'm sure it's over 400,000. Thomas joins from the Netherlands. We were actually talking about how it's like lunch and latte might be a as we're more and more global.
It could be any. Keith is still having coffee, probably in California. Christian's here.
We've been doing meet and mingles in person. That's the other thing that we've been doing in the whole, few weeks that has been since we've done one of these. We've sort of done the in-person version of it where we come and hang out with people in person. Dan is trying to decide if he wants to start day drinking. I mean, you're the boss. You're the boss of you. So I guess whatever your boss says.
Dan,
hey, Tim.
It's 1 o'clock here, Dan. So that's afternoon. Happy, go for it. Hi, Deborah.
So let's dive
Oh,
in.
you want to find that number, Deborah? Deborah, if you go to there's a website called shuttercount.com, I think it is, or org, or you just type in, just Google shutter count, and you just upload a file, and it'll tell you how many actuations your shutter has had. Some cameras aren't supported, but a lot of them are. So yeah, it's a nice, easy way. Every once in a while, after I start ingesting an AfterShoot, I just drop it in there just to see, like off memory card, just to see what it looks like. Hi, Randall. I love you. Wow, we got a full crowd today.
We do. I'm like, oh my goodness, we could be saying hi to people for the next like hour. What'd you say the website was again? Shutter what?
Hold on. I just Google shutter, and then the website is actually camerashuttercount.com. So
I will add that in the comments later.
Yeah, you can just go ahead and drag and drop some files in to see. Like I said, one of my Nikon D750s is at 330,000. My Nikon Z5 is at 139,000, and it's only a year old. So it's been put out. Oh yes, thank you, Tom. Hi, Jacqueline.
Thank you, Tom.
Hola, Neto from El Salvador. What do you say? It's 1:10. Should we do some stuff? You can let people.
Let's do some stuff. Let's rock it out. I'm like, we're just so excited to see everyone. It's like, oh, it's like a little homecoming. I feel like a hug.
I know, it's been so long.
Yeah, let's dive into this though. So yeah, are we looking at the current version, or are we seeing some up and coming?
You're looking at the prototype of something that should be out in about 2 weeks. So hang in there. This is going to be really cool. There's a lot of awesome stuff in here that I'm proud about. And I'll give you like little glimpses. So again, a lot of this will kind of have some changes and different things built in there. The first thing that I am so excited for is key faces in the grid.
What?
This just changed my life. I didn't know how bad I needed it until I needed it, and now I can't live without it.
And also, wait, are you also looking at duplicates in the grid too?
Yeah, you got duplicates in the grid, key faces in the grid, so you can actually cycle through and just see if anyone's got closed eyes, open eyes, whatever you want to do within any set of images here, which is really awesome, right? So like looking at duplicates and all sorts of stuff just to see what's going on. Again, my key faces here changed how I culled. So in this case, we're cycling through. There are some things that you aren't seeing just yet. So we have some machine learning improvements that are in process right now. They haven't been actually input into this. So we do have a new key face detection system that's like 1,000,000 times more accurate. So we're going to give you more key faces more often, and you're going to be so tired of looking at all your clients' faces because you're going to see all of them.
But I notice it looks like there's the arrows there, so you could hide this too if it's like visual clutter for you and you want to hide it. You can hide it.
Yeah, the
you can open it too.
Actual version of this may not actually have these drop downs, but may rather be icons instead. I won't give you too much info on it, but yeah, and you'll be able to drag and drop these as well. So I can't do it here. It's not on this version yet, but that is also coming where you'll be able to drag and drop this. So your key faces can be up top if you want, or your duplicates up top. So again, customizing that, just trying to create a very unique experience for the user.
Love it.
Now, I can't show it here. So it's there's, just so everyone kind of knows what we do, we build different features on different pieces. So I have to go from like one version of AfterShoot to the next to test different features. But one of the things I'm very excited for that's coming in this update, and I think everyone should be aware of it, is you will be able to actually move this sidebar in and out and the film strip up and down. So you can expand and contract these so you have less or more space taken up. I know it doesn't sound as exciting when I say it, but
No, it actually sounds really exciting because sometimes I just wish that film strip was just a little bit larger,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe I just want the picture to take up the full thing. So yeah, getting those various options in is actually really, really exciting. Tim Riddick just said, yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
so many things that are just like in this update that just they're life changing. Oh, check this one out. Oh, this is one that's new too. So like
That's not a
when you
face.
when you have no face, you now have a mouse that allows you to track your image and look at it at 100% loom. So I can see that that is an animal. So again, it's just a nice little way to do something different, right? We were looking at
Well,
places that we wish we had some different options for you, and that was one
right.
of them.
Like I can see this really handy if you're a brand photographer or a wedding photographer photographing details where there's no human in the photo. You might, let's say I'm photographing jewelry for a brand or a wedding ring for a bride. I could zoom in and say, hey, is this, is the ring in focus or is the stone in focus? Like what's in focus here? So
Hmm.
that ability to view it larger is definitely a big deal.
And you'll actually be able to, even if there are key faces, you'll be able to toggle back and forth. So if you prefer not to see key faces, but rather just this, so you can move your mouse around and see what you got, absolutely, you can do that as well.
Um, we ha-
That's a big one.
we have a question here that I want to. I'll read it to you because it's going to be too long to show on the screen.
Okay.
Actually, let me hide it so I can read it.
I like all questions.
Yeah. Oh, I thought I could read it if I just moved my mouse away. Congratulations for the software. It's much of a relief. We're new to it and exploring. A weird thing's been happening. Once the culling job is over, if selected pictures are 800 out of the total 5,000, if I let the system stay dormant within a few minutes or hours, the same number of selected photos automatically reduces.
So I'm gonna actually, what I'd ask you to do, because I don't have that answer. I wish
Yeah, I
I
was
was
gonna
that
say
smart.
I was like, oh, I've actually never seen this question before. So this is definitely a great time to point out how to get to support because they're gonna have questions for you.
In the app, if you guys ever have any technical questions, so you'll notice that we have a filter on the Facebook group because we want to kind of keep our Facebook community all about just learning AfterShoot and whatnot. But when it comes
And
to like
learning.
yeah, and to learning in
Yeah.
general, but when it comes to like technical questions, like things that are not functioning, or you're having an issue, or you have a question that you need a little bit more help with, there is 24-hour support. We're gonna see how long this takes someone to respond. I think
And go.
and start the timer. So we'll see how long it takes to get a reply back.
Oh,
So there's our auto, so I can actually choose an issue I'm facing. Oh, someone's typing.
oh,
I just
well.
I really hope it's a
Hopefully he
because
says something nice.
oh, he did. There you go. So again, it's 24-hour in-app support. So I even answer sometimes when I know the answer. And that's Jason, who is an amazing human being who will answer for you, and our co-founder, the man of the hour, Harshit, will actually answer a lot of them as well. So you're looking at, yes, he knows.
I was
That's
Harshit
Harshit
just
right
sent the
there.
gift.
Yeah. So there you go. Do you need help checking our YouTube live? So again, we're here for you when you need it. This is definitely the best way to get fast answers because we're very, very active there. So in that
You
case, if
will
you're having
not.
something like that, we would love to hear that. Like anytime we're not performing the way we need to know, because then we can fix it. But if we don't know, we can't fix it. So definitely when you notice it happening, pop on over to the in-app support and just message them there, and they'll
And let
start
me
guiding
add
you
it.
through troubleshooting.
let me add something here. So just in case, maybe your problem is that the software isn't loading at all and you cannot get to that support. If you go to aftershoot.com, there's a little bubble in the bottom right-hand corner of every single page on the site that takes you to the exact same support system.
Yep.
So if you can't get the software to load, go there, but you will not get fast answers to tech support questions in the Facebook group. Our support team is not monitoring it 24/7 like they are this. This is the way to get your fast answer. So, there's one feature I want to ask you about that I think is sometimes hard for people to find. Like, where do people go if they don't want, if they want to go ahead and keep closed eyes in their,
Ooh,
like they're okay with closed eyes. Like, I want to keep all the closed eye pictures. Don't get rid of them for me.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to head back to this lovely screen. This is where you choose your preferences. So in this case, you would click on that little advanced toggle. We have it just a little bit hidden here, and you can actually just toggle it off, turn it right off. So you can turn off.
And the same with blur.
Blur, duplicates. You can go ahead and just get them all knocked out. But on that note, where I would like to actually lead us today, again, pending anybody's questions, is into our preferences.
Do you want to answer a question real quick before we?
I do.
So a really common question here. Tom asks, I'm fairly new to AfterShoot, and I wonder if it also learns after I've made rating adjustments in Lightroom. I save the metadata and I continue to fetch in AfterShoot and save this in AfterShoot. Like, we're not reading back from Lightroom. If you want AfterShoot to learn from you, is that correct?
Yeah, well, we'll only learn from the user within AfterShoot. And the main reason being there's a bunch of things that are happening when you have the AI learning turned on. So pulling images in that have already been changed won't really tell us because we don't know why, right? So we're not able to actually analyze the decision you made. So we don't get that feedback from Lightroom. We're always working on things, and eventually that is one thing that we hope to be able to do. We have a couple really big things coming instead. Dun dun dun. So we have some stuff you may like more coming before then. So.
And
eventually,
Abby said perfect time. She came up with some questions while she was culling today, including, I've been having an issue where I accidentally mark an entire set of those as rejects, and then I can't undo it.
Oh, you can't undo it. So you can undo using here. Let me just reject this set here. So I got two duplicates here. I'm going to use the Z, and I accidentally rejected them all. I can use Command Z, and that'll actually bring them all back.
What if I didn't realize that I had done it? What if I didn't realize I had done it until a little bit later?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's just say, yeah, if I were to reject those two images, I'll just reject a bunch here, right? So I've rejected some images. What I can actually do, if I notice that I'm missing something, I can actually come back here, go to my quick filters, and I can go to all, and then you'll be able to find those rejected images based on the capture time. So then I can mark them all as 5 stars if I want. If I select them all, I can do that, or I can make this like a 2-star, 5-star, make my adjustments from there. So you can bring them back in. I'm going to undo that as well. If you know that you just, like, let's just say these are all rejected, and I said, hey, I want this one, I could just use the A key to add it, and then it's added back in too. So you don't have to actually, undo things as well. You can just simply add images back in. I actually made a really cool video that will hopefully appear sometime soon, actually going over all the different ways you can cull. Right? Because some people prefer to do like the adding in version. Some people like to do the take away version.
Yeah.
Some people like to, sorry, I just had to show her off. Some people like to tweak things and just use what AfterShoot gave them and bring them to Lightroom. So there's a whole bunch of different options for you. So I actually made a video that we're editing right now that's actually going over all of that, right? So it's explaining like, hey, these are all the things that we that really cool. They do a like a marinara dance with a horse.
Very cool. Yeah, Mike pointed out closed eyes equals looking down a lot of times for me, and we knew that kept coming up as an issue. So I, for one, did boudoir photography for years. So I want every single closed eye photo because I often intentionally tell people to close their eyes. And sometimes for, different portrait photographers, different, if you're a wedding photographer, like depending on what you're doing, for some of us, closed eyes is okay. Or maybe blur is okay. Maybe you intentionally do a lot of motion blur. So that's why we wanted to give you that option to where you could choose to keep it. Tim Riddick, Tim, what's up? Is there a way to label categories differently to work more with our personal workflow?
So we don't have that ability yet. We did hear that suggestion and are considering things we can do. So there definitely will be some things coming probably in about 2 to 3 months because we have to jump through a couple hoops to make it work. It's not as straightforward based on the system. So yeah, we hope to let you kind of customize and make them, just instead of saying selected, it could be like first round, second round, third round, or, rejected, accepted, that sort of stuff. So we will have, some customization in that range coming for sure.
Awesome. Is there a way to automatically select cool mustaches setting?
That is, yeah. So when you go into after, you see them there every time. It's easy.
Oh, true. You can see them every time. Just since we brought up the question, that whole thing about the problem with the culling, Harsha pointing out in the comments is being fixed this week, and it is being fixed. So the team is on it.
Yes. And, so we've been working hard here on a lot of things. So we have some bug fixes going out. We to give everyone the inside scoop, we transitioned to an entirely new operating system for the software back when we had our instant import update. So about 2 months ago, we ported everything over from one language of software to another. So we're still finding little demons and gremlins that kind of pop up once we tweak some things. So it's still being worked on slightly in conjunction with this. I haven't shown anyone my favorite thing, did I?
No. What is your favorite thing?
Okay. So
I took that off the screen just real quick. Deborah loved the point that, and yeah, the star rating, the color rating, all of it shows up in Lightroom so that you can get back over to it. So show us your favorite thing.
So this is a feature that you have to figure out how it's going to work for you. Okay. For me, I'm a deleter. So I'd rather have more images to begin with and just get rid of all the stuff I don't want. Okay. So we've added this little thing that looks like a spray paint can. And so by clicking on it, you've now entered spray mode. So I can actually turn my color and stars off if I'd like, and I can just click on an image and make it disappear. So for me, this is game changing. I'm just like, oh, I don't want this one. I don't want this one. I'm culling as fast as I've ever culled because it's so much easier just to click on something that I don't want anymore. So I start with like I said, I start with that greater number of images and just start going through and scrolling. And as I scroll, I decide if I want to keep something or not. And then just one click and it's gone.
I love it. Now, I also delete things so I can appreciate this. Now, this is not live yet, right?
This is not live yet. Correct. These are not live features. These are just things coming. I think we're tentative release date of May 14th. So now that that's been put out into the public, the guys are going to have to step it up and get it done by May 14th. this really was amazing for me. For those of you who like to add images back in, so if you wanted to make the clicky thing, like, you know, some people prefer to have their selected images be 4 stars, and then they like 5 stars as highlights, and the highlights are what they actually edit. You can do this and just make everything you click turn into a 5 star. So if you went into like blurred, I could just go through here and say 5 star, 5 star, right? And these are all going back into my 5 star option as well. Then when you're done, you just click exit spray can mode and it's gone, and you're back to your final cull. So that was a feature that's been requested by a few people, and it really, I didn't realize how valuable it could be, because I'm a keyboard shortcut guy. So for me, I'm like, oh yeah, I want to just like X things out. But then I realized that's a game changer, right? Just being able to scroll through like and just be like, oh, I don't want this one, I don't want this one, I don't want this one, I don't want that one, and it's fantastic. A couple other things we've got, like I'd mentioned, we have got the new face detection model.
I'm gonna pop in with a question.
Yeah.
Any plans to add tensor metal support? I actually just had to Google this because that is all to do with machine learning. I think that might be a question for the support team.
Yeah, probably a question for the support team. I'm going to say probably not, because we just left a lot of Tensor products to gain some speed. So I don't know that we will be back to them. But you can definitely check in with support. We can kind of take care of you there. They'll be able to actually answer that. Because as brilliant as I like to think I am just a person who kind of knows some stuff.
So I'm going to let you show off the cool features, and then I'm going to go back to questions. So if you've asked a question, I'm going to come back to them in just a little bit.
Yeah, I really don't have a cool feature to show off. What I really want to just say is we are updating the key faces as well. So that was what I had mentioned earlier. We're going to have better face detections, more faces, more consistent. We hope to be able to also launch into our emotion model has been improved. Our closed eye model has been improved. Our kiss model has been improved. So we've got a ton of things that are getting better every time we update. So team's been hard at work. What I'm testing right now is actually a brand new duplicate detector. So a couple people had come forward and said, hey, we've got, some issues with clustering people together, and, maybe just some clusters that shouldn't be clustered when on strict. So what you're looking at is actually the new version of that. So me, as the photographer, before, I used to get a lot of images, so I would do this image where they're looking at the camera, and then I would do the same frame where they're looking at each other, then touching noses, and kiss her on the cheek. Like, again, I have a rhythm that I'd run through. And I was finding that me personally, I was getting a lot of those clustered together on strict, which I did not want, right? So I want the smaller set, but I need them broken down a little bit better. So we spent literally this project on duplicate detection is like probably the hardest machine learning problem that we've encountered, which is how do you make larger sets while making them smaller at the same time? Right. So it's like, how do you get more images clustered together, but less images clustered together at the same time? So we started on this journey way back in December, and it was a complete failure. We couldn't get any improvements until the past month and a half. We started making some significant improvements, and this latest version, like I said, you'll get some extra images here or there, but for me, it's like, before, these would all be clustered together. There's no way I would get like a kissing shot and a cheek and looking at each other on a wide shot separated. But now they are separated, which is awesome because I intentionally took different photos for a reason. So it's really cool just to see it in action and all changes. The actual number of images that you get on strict is decreased. Right. So we ran some side by sides, and compared to the model that you're on now versus our new model, you're actually getting less images, but we're separating more images out. So again, like totally mind boggling that it's even possible to do something like that. But I will shout out Pegu. Pegu is one of our machine learning guys, and Gaurav and Nikhil. Like, the machine learning team has just literally busted their hump to make all of this happen.
Awesome. Preferences. We were going to talk about the preference.
Oh, yeah.
Preferences.
We're going to swing on back. My apologies. I got so excited. There's so much stuff to be excited about.
Well, and we
had that running joke. It's a game changer, Christine.
It is a game changer, but this is actually, I actually want to address that. We work really hard to strike a balance between making it very simple and easy to use and making it very full of features so that you can use it the way that works best for you. So that's always like, it's a line that we are constantly looking at. So, which is part of why we do these lives, so that we can show off these things in a way that maybe if you haven't dug through the software and found things on your own, we can show you where they're at.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. That's literally the debate of my entire life with everybody. I want all the features. I want everything that we could possibly do to be in this app. But how do we put it there without making it confusing? So it's
or overwhelming. You don't want to be like all these preferences that we're about to talk about. You don't want to be looking through them the very first time you use the software. Oh, and there's one other thing I want to address. This came up for me just a couple of times, but I know we talk a lot about how like our software learns from you, but I also want to reiterate, like, we're teaching it as well. Like, it's not like some other softwares where you have to upload 1,000, 5,000 photos. When it comes to culling, we are also, we're feeding the magical unicorns a lot, and we are teaching it as well, so that when you very first use it, it already knows things. It's already learned. It came pre-programmed when it landed on your computer.
Yeah, so actually I'll just show off something real quick here. So like, let's just say this is an eyes closed image. It's not really, but it kind of is. You have this little exclamation point here. If you click on that, you can report, hey, this is closed eyes. And then you can send that feedback. So not only are we learning from the decisions you make when you swap images out, we start learning like, hey, you'd rather have this image over this image, and we start analyzing our data on that and build you your better profile. But we're also like I said, those guys I shouted out, we have a machine learning team, Harish, Ritwik, Aditi, Pegu, there's so many of them that are always literally, we're on meetings all the time. They're testing things out. I give them all the problems. So when someone comes to me and says, hey, we're getting closed eyes selected on the profile shots or looking down shots or whatever it is, we instantly go in there and we spend as much time as we can figuring out how to solve that issue. Really, you guys are a part of the team. Every single user is a part of the team. If you come back to us and say, hey, 9 times out of 10, it gets this wrong, we can say, oh, all right, well, we'll figure that out. Give us some sample images. We'll play with it. I'll give it to the guys. Guys and gals, they'll go in and they'll see what they can do and kind of pull it together, and we build new models. So literally there is a list of things that we're always working on as far as the intelligence of the unicorns that we can push, right? So that duplicate detection, that's something that we're going to push so that you guys just have a better option. You don't have to wait for it to learn like how to group your duplicates and all that sort of stuff. So instead, we're sending you the best of the best. Same with the closed eyes and the profiles, the kisses, all of that stuff. We're just sending you updated models that we spent, a long time tweaking and adjusting.
Long time.
Yeah. Very long time. Yeah. Duplicates, like I said, duplicates.
And with a much larger volume of photos than I would probably run through.
Yeah. So me and Harshit were just looking yesterday. We called 1.5 million images yesterday alone.
Yeah, in a day
called 1,500,000 images.
Did we call that, or you the user called that?
You the user called that.
Yeah, you the user.
AfterShoot ran through and did its thing, but you, the users, you guys called 1,500,000 images yesterday alone. And that when you turn that AI learning on, that allows us to get a lot of feedback. It allows us to get your model improved specifically, but then also you help the whole network, right? So every time we say, hey, this person's changing a lot of images, it puts a red flag up, and then we'll come in and kind of look at it and try and address it. Or when you message us and say, hey, it's not getting the kiss shots. It seems to always miss the kisses for some reason. It's like the moment before, the moment after. We sit down and we say, okay, our kiss detection model, what can we do to make it better? What are we missing? What's happening? And we can kind of run it through some tests and figure out where the problem is and start building either a new model or tweaking the old one, or coming up with a solution that would, kind of override it. So this is like, it's really a team project, right? There's people hard at work doing all the crazy fancy stuff, but then there's us, the photographers, just using AfterShoot and making it better every time we use it.
So preferences, what all preferences can I change?
Yeah, absolutely. So I go over this every time. Imagery, grid, loop view, these are your settings that you can change, right? So these are your keyboard shortcuts. They're really simple. So all to do, like if I wanted to assign 5-star images, if those are my selected images, and I wanted it to be the letter B for beautiful, I would just hit the B, right? And what that'll do is it'll actually just assign the keyboard shortcut B to make images 5 stars. So I'm going to do that back so I don't forget later. So you can, just by clicking on any one of these, you can change any keyboard shortcut. So there's the swap, add an image, so mark it as selected, remove the stars and colors from an image, and then Z is reject all the images from a duplicate set. So there's a lot of things within that. The grid, same thing. Arrow up, arrow down, arrow right, arrow left. That's how you navigate the grid. Enter gets you in the loop view. Ignore the space bar for now. That's not, I can't show you that yet. Period and comma will go, to the next image or last image in a duplicate set on the grid view. And then loop view, again, you have all those similar keyboard shortcuts. Option to arrow cycles through all the key faces. Period and comma goes through the duplicates. Spacebar will zoom in and zoom out. We've revised the spacebar option this time. You'll also be able to double click now to zoom in, zoom out. But now it's only going to zoom into what your defined thing is. So I'll swing back and show that to you. G for grid view, F for full screen, I to get the image info, and L will switch between the faces or the loop. So remember I was saying we have, we're going to let you, change from key faces to just the loop. There's a keyboard shortcut for that. So if I decide that I don't want to see that, I want to see the 100% loop, using the L key gets me to that, or get it back to the key faces. So let me swing all the way back over here, because that's not even why we're here. I want to show you the miscellaneous settings. So this is where there's some really helpful things, but you got to know that they're there to want them. So I'll kind of go over them one by one. So the first is using accompanying JPEGs for RAW files. So if you shoot RAW plus JPEG and you want us to cull your JPEGs and transfer that information to the RAW files, this is really good for Sony users who have, smaller embedded thumbnails. Your JPEGs are good. So we can actually you can use those accompanying JPEGs for it. Again, we make our own previews now, so we do have a better preview than what in-camera Sony files have. But that's something that is useful to some people. Enable auto advance. This is so that when you change a star or color on an image, it'll auto advance for you. So it'll literally skip to the next image as soon as that's done. I see that question come up on the intercom every once in a while, like, I wish it would do this. And I'm like, you can, you just got to turn it on. It's usually on by default. So if you are the person who doesn't want it to do that, you can totally uncheck that box as well. The next one is maintaining the zoom level while moving through the photos in the loop view. So if you zoom in at 100% and you use the next arrow key to see the next image, or the period and comma key to see the similar images, you can maintain that zoom level, or you can uncheck that and it'll go back to the full wide shot every time you change and you have to re-zoom in. You can also determine whether you'd want the star and color to change. So again, for those who like to do that kind of tweaking workflow, If you want AfterShoot to give 5-star greens, your selected images, and then you just change the color to red if you decide that that's your keeper, or whatever it may be, however you wanted to kind of do it. If you uncheck that box, it'll leave the stars alone. So you'll know AfterShoot chose it and you also chose it. There's a couple different ways you can play with that. Send email notifications with album statistics. Those of you who love that email, I used to love it until I have to test the AfterShoot 24 hours a day. So I literally, my inbox had like 500 unread AfterShoot emails, so I had to uncheck it. But my favorite thing is knowing when my cull is done and you can see the email and see how many images were selected and whatnot. So you can choose to show the existing stars and colors during import. So if you've already culled it in AfterShoot or somewhere else and you want to see the stars and colors as they're importing into AfterShoot, you can. Refresh the image grid immediately upon any changes. So if you are to reject images, the grid will actually move. So very similar to like Lightroom. You can turn that off if you want that rejected image to stay in the grid so you can reference back and see if you need to see it. For me, once I reject it, it's gone. I don't want to see it again unless I have to. And then the last one was a big one when we launched our beta for people to kind of test out, and that's skip reviewed images in a duplicate set in the loop view. So if you've already, I'm going to show you this one because it's a little bit complicated. So if you have, let's see, let's find a set that's big enough for this. If you have 2 selected images in a set, all right, here we go. We got like a +11 here. So I have 2 selected images. So we'll go into the loop view. So what I can do is actually review the images in here. And now that I've reviewed the first image and the already selected image, when I use the next arrow key, if you watch down here, it's actually going to skip over an image, right? Because I've already seen this image once. So when I've reviewed it in the duplicate set, and you'll see the little checkbox up here that says we've reviewed it. So once I've already reviewed it, these are part of the same duplicate set, these 2 images. So it's going to skip over to this third one and not show me that same image again. So some people get a little bit confused initially. They're like, why did it do that? It just randomly skipped over a bunch of images. It doesn't make sense. That's because that box is checks for you. And that's, again, just to make sure that you're not reviewing the same thing. Because if you stop and review these 12 images, right? So you go through, make any changes. Let's say I just like swap something out. Like I like that one better or whatever it is. I swap an image out. I've already reviewed that second image. So by going to the next image, I don't need to see it again. I've already decided to keep it. So that's why we introduced that, again, to just save some time. Because I personally found that I go through the same duplicate set or the same set of images more than once because of that.
Yeah.
So if it's not
that makes sense, like a good way to skip reviewing the set that you already reviewed.
Exactly. It's just surprise. If you're not expecting it, it'll surprise you. You'll be like,
where did it go?
What happened?
Are there some other preferences you wanted to show off, or do we want to dive into some of these questions?
Let's get some questions out of the way because there's just a lot of questions, I'm assuming.
There are a lot of questions today.
Okay.
So once again, this is a little bit of a long one, so I'm going to show it, but I'm going to turn it off so I can actually read it. Tom asked, we sometimes work with 2 or 3 people, each with 2 cameras. They don't always run in sync in terms of the timeline when I load the album in. Of course, I don't have the correct order. I know how to fix this in Lightroom, but I don't know how to fix this in AfterShoot. Do you have any tips, or is there a workaround?
Yeah, so first things first, you want to make sure when you're importing an album, this little thing will have a white circle that goes around it that explains how much of the metadata has loaded. So once you're sure that all the metadata is loaded, then we edit the capture time if you'd like. So make sure all the metadata is loaded. And then you can go down and find an image that you'd like to sync to. So let's just say that maybe I can, I'm sure I don't ever sync my cameras. So I'm sure this one probably had a sync. We'll look for like the first kiss. That's always a good one for me to reference because my second shooter will have shot it. I'll probably have shot it. here we go. So first kiss. So there's mine. Oh, we are in sync. But so I would say, all right, this is the image that I want everything to sync up to. So what I could do is actually go edit capture time, and I could make note of this. So it's 4:54:41, and I can come over here, and then I could go edit capture time 4:54, and then that was 41. Let me make that 41. I can make it 41, and then I can actually update all from this camera. And what it'll do is actually update the capture time for all of those images. So it's going to move them all by 1 second backwards in my timeline. So you can see that it just popped over. So now it's just after my lead camera. So just again, by control click or left clicking over here, you can edit the capture time and change capture time within it. So other than that, it should absolutely, if you look at the little up and down arrows, you can, decide to sort by capture time, file name, or even duplicate count, right? So if you want to just see, the images with the least or most duplicates, you can absolutely do that as well. But we'll go back to capture time. And then again, you're just in capture time order. So if you are a second or two off, or in my case, I live on East Coast time and I don't sync my cameras for daylight savings time, but my second shooter does. So we are an hour off all winter.
Okay, so next question. Thanks for the awesome work. Is there a way to start a call on one computer and then continue it on another computer for remote work? No.
So there is not. What I'll show you real quick, something that you could potentially do if this is a workflow that you intend on using often. One thing you could do is in your import export screen, you can actually choose where your AfterShoot files go to, right? So you'll be able to relocate that to the external hard drive. So you would say like, hey, right now it's just in my computer. So that's where AfterShoot's kind of brain functions, so to speak, as far as your albums. So if you were to call on an external hard drive and you want to bounce back and forth from computer to computer, once the call is complete, you can actually bring that hard drive with this pointed at that hard drive, right? So you'd have to click on it and then change it over to the wherever
you want it to be.
External hard drive. Yep. You would point it to it, and then you could actually plug that hard drive into another computer with AfterShoot and be able to load your projects from there. You'd have to come in again to that computer and make sure the preferences pointed at the same location as well. Hopefully, eventually, we'll have an AfterShoot projects file that'll allow you to just share them and airdrop them and do kind of cool, quick, fast things like that. But for the time being, that's kind of the workaround if you're dead set on doing it. You make sure it completes on one computer, then you plug in that hard drive with the files pointed to it, or the AfterShoot projects folder pointed to that place, and you can load them from there. So it is possible, but not necessarily the most easy thing to do. But like I said, hopefully eventually we'll be able to get that out to you guys. Like I said, there's a couple big things. You'll be glad that we didn't do that yet because there's other cool stuff happening.
Love everything about AfterShoot. One thing that I do is to remove all stars and colors after I get into Lightroom because I have my own system there. Would it be possible to export without ratings? So they just want to export the final selected images, but they wish that they didn't have ratings on them.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I was like, that's not one that I don't think I've ever come across that one. I mean, I don't answer support tickets, so maybe you guys have had that request other times, but
I don't think I've ever heard that one before. There are some workarounds to it, but it's not something that we have like straight up committed yet. So there's not like a way to just strip everything off of it. But what you could do, if you were to go to all images and let's say your 5 stars are your selected images, you could go 4 stars and lower, and you could select all and then delete all the images, right? So just delete them, get rid of them, or you can flag them all, get rid of them all, delete them out of AfterShoot. And then when you go to export your photos, you would export to a folder, after you got rid of all those images, you go to just your selected images, select all, mark them all as 0 stars or whatever it is, and export them to a new folder. So there is like kind of a workaround, but there's not a straight, way to basically reset everything back to 0. in one click. A little bit more complicated. Delete everything out and then just set your selected to 0 stars. Or, I mean, I guess you could also just go to your selected images, mark them all as 0 stars, export them, and if you're on a Mac, you could just double click
them. If you're on a
into,
Mac, it will only take those. Yeah.
Yeah. Or, you could drag and drop them too. So you could just, select the images you want and drag and drop them. So yeah, you could make it something like that. Inverse it if you want. So you can make your selected images the only things that have no rating too. That's always a possibility. So within your stars and colors, you could make, everything have a rating except selected. Selected could be nothing.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So Heather and I are similar photographers. I shoot with a wide open aperture most of the time, 2.0 to 4.0. Will it know the difference between face eye blur and background blur?
Yeah, so we're always improving our blur detection system. So like I said, you'll always get one image from every set, right? So if you get 5 out of focus images, what I'd highly recommend is that when you're culling, you definitely want to be on lenient when you have, wide open apertures, because it definitely look for that. But yes, it will. Yeah, so it will be able to tell the difference between background and, I'm trying to find an example here. Background and
I would say there was one in your wedding set where like the couple was crisp, but the background was blurry, and it didn't select it as a blurry image. It knows that.
Yeah. So if you're photographing people, we're only looking at the faces initially for blur, right? So that's the most important. We're looking at that as the subject. So we'll look for the face, make sure that the face is in focus first before anything else. So I would definitely say you will be fine. It will differentiate. How pretty is that, right? You'll be able to differentiate between them for sure. So even at a wide open aperture, we'll, as long as the face is somewhat sharp, we'll still deem it as sharp. If there are no key faces, that gets a little bit more tricky when you get to wide open apertures. So like we can't really, it's harder to differentiate. That's all.
So Tom might be a Windows user, because this is still an issue with Windows, yes? Where Windows, it's like a Windows Lightroom issue of taking all the photos into Lightroom. Is that correct?
Yeah. That's still a Windows thing. There's something going on with Windows and Lightroom that they won't let us access that information. So
it's not an AfterShoot thing. We would fix it if we could.
Exactly. So in that case, this is actually one of the reasons why we introduced this feature. But you can select all. Command A would be the way to do, or Alt A, and then you can actually just drag and drop them. So you can just select the images you want, drag and drop them, and then they'll all come flying on over to your software.
Yep, and you just click and drag them on over in.
Yep. There you go.
I found it would mark the majority of processional and reception images as rejected due to AfterShoot not knowing the subject of the image.
So that would be interesting to see. I'd love to, if you wouldn't mind, hello@aftershoot.com. If you can send us some examples of places where we're getting it wrong when you know them, that's so helpful to us, because then we can actually look at it and find the pattern, right? So a lot of what we have to do is figure out where we're going wrong, and then figure out, who else is having the issue and what we can do to fix it, and how we can kind of come to that conclusion, right? So I'm assuming that it's probably marking them as out of focus because faces along the side maybe are not as in focus. So I'd love to see exactly what it is.
Faces on the same plane where it thinks like.
Yeah, it thinks that they're the subject, but they're not. So I'd love to see some examples of it. That would be very helpful for us to kind of troubleshoot and diagnose if that's something that's going on with you. So like I said, hello@aftershoot.com. Email us some examples if you don't mind, and we'll totally look into that. That's one of those cases where we need to see it to fix it.
Yeah. When I'm calling an AfterShoot and there are duplicates, if I then reject one or set it to 0 stars, then moves on to the next set. And then if I get into Lightroom later, the rest of the set still has the AfterShoot rating. Again, I think this is that whole Windows issue where it's pulling everything in.
So no, I think what, if I'm understanding correctly, they're saying that they're rejecting an image. So I'm looking for a duplicate set here. So rejecting an image. All right. So let's just say you have this image. When they're saying when they reject this image, the 69, the 4-star one, 769, is still yellow and 4 stars, I believe, in Lightroom. So if you're importing them all, which is true. Now, the way to get rid of that, that's that new keyboard shortcut we introduced. So it's the Z key. So if you were to hit Z, it rejects the entire duplicate set. So I'm going to go back now, and you'll see both images. Both images now don't have any rating. So yeah, we added that feature. When did we add that? I want to say we added that on our last update. So you should already have it. Again, if you go into preferences, you can head into the image rating segment here. Reject all the images from a duplicate set, and that's the Z key. So it'll just get rid of everything within that duplicate set.
Carl has an interesting question here. I'm going to hide it once again so I can actually read the full question. Is there a way in the main window to pick a group of images and zoom in, loop view each one simultaneously and scroll around? The images seem to appear in low res unless I'm actually in the duplicates bump out, and then I'm looking at each one at a time, which takes up a lot of time. I think seeing the group of pictures at high res would really help to see quickly which images are the best, so I can tell which is in better focus, etc.
Absolutely. That's a great question. So we do have a screen that is still in development. It's not launched yet. I kind of alluded to that before. That's going to allow you to compare. We won't do full res comparisons because that is a lengthy process, right? So the goal here is speeding up that initial glance at images. We have had a couple people actually ask for a high performance AfterShoot, in which we are looking at the full resolution images. We make our own, big 1-to-1 previews. So it'll be a lot slower of a process to get them opened and imported into AfterShoot. But then you'd have full resolution abilities. So that's something we're considering long term. But yes, we will have a comparison screen based on the 1-to-1s that we create ourselves now. And that I think that's 2 updates away, maybe just 1 now. I'd have to double check, but yeah.
So Amy has a long question. I'm actually going to summarize part of it. Loves the software, still super new to it, trying to figure out the quickest workflow for getting sneak peeks to clients, which requires editing in Lightroom first. And I don't want to import all of my called AfterShoot photos into Lightroom until after I've checked all the folders to be safe, which takes time for me. But I want to be super quick with turning around these sneak peeks. Some of the sneak peeks I love don't always come out of the AfterShoot sneak peek folder necessarily. So all I know to do is to save the ones that did not get included in AfterShoot sneak peek folder. And I love them as well. Sorry, I had to scroll, so I lost my place. I love them as well. And then only import the sneak peek folder into Lightroom until I can get back to double checking the culled photos from AfterShoot for the rest of the images. Then I have to drag the sneak peeks folder that is now in Lightroom into the final one in Lightroom, and I'm editing again later. as I want to keep it all together. Am I doing this the quickest way possible for only sneak peeks at first, and then putting them all together later in one folder for the client in Lightroom?
Gotcha. So so from what I gather, she's using partially sneak peeks that we have,
and partially her own.
Partially her own. So if you wanted to run this cull through, and then you wanted to make the sneak peeks blue, that's what mine are. So mine are blue. So I could actually come through, and for me, it's the 9 key. So I'm just going to hit the 9 key. I'm going to add some of these back into my sneak peeks. And then what I could actually do, again, same concept, drag and drop here. So I can select all. And then these are 249 sneak peeks, and I can actually drag and drop just those into Lightroom if I'd like. Or I could totally just use that export feature and export them to a specific folder. Or if you're on a Mac, you can just use the export feature to bring them over. Again, drag and drop is probably the most logical and simple. You just drag and drop them right on in to your Lightroom icon. So I'll show you here. We can just drag, drop into Lightroom, and then all 249 images that were selected as sneak peeks are here to be done. Now, if you're doing that, make sure that you are following that the saving the metadata workflow, right? So we want to make sure that you're not overwriting your edits later when you import all of your images into AfterShoot. So you could also just run them. If you didn't want to just divide it, you could run AfterShoot, let it do its thing, and then import, all of your images into Lightroom. And then from here, you'll have all of your stars and colors in here. So blur is 3 in red, 5-star in green, and then you could also just filter by it. So there's a couple different workflows. Great question. Yeah, you can totally drag and drop your highlights over if you want to just get them done first, and then finish your manual cull on a different day.
Yeah. Dan, you can find the replay for this on our Facebook page, in our Facebook group, and also this time we're broadcasting live on YouTube as well, which worked. Yay, technology. And so the video will live in all 3 places, so you can get it in all of those. So we always, and they're available, I think, like as soon as we're done, they're accessible. Jen, hi Jen. She said, no questions. I just want to say thank you for existing. AfterShoot has saved me so much time. I'm very excited for everything you guys are bringing to the table. Yay. Any chance the hold photos with better alternatives can be turned off, or is it always on with every wedding I call?
Photos with better alternatives. You mean without better alternatives?
I think so.
Yeah. So you can hide images with warnings. So you don't have to see those warnings. What I personally do, it's not exactly the same, but I actually look at images without duplicates first and just kind of see, because oftentimes they're random images that I just want to get rid of. So I'll oftentimes just come through real fast and just say bye to those things. But then, yeah, if you just click on, let me clear my filters. If you just click on warnings, you can see all of these, images that do not have a better alternate. You can select them all and just reject them all if you'd like. And now they don't exist.
Jared Wood, on YouTube, the only issue I've ever had is sometimes I'll think that when I'm doing bridesmaid photos, it thinks some of the bridesmaids are the same person. So then when I'm doing the portraits, I have to be super careful. So maybe there's sisters that are bridesmaids or something that look, or even groomsmen, whatever. People might
groomsmen groomsmen are definitely a big one too. That's resolved with this duplicate detection system, hopefully. So still go through and review in depth. But that's one of those things we didn't really know it was happening until someone said, hey, this is happening. Can you help me out? And so we actually went in and trying to find an example here of where we fixed that up. But yeah, so then once we started looking, that's when I realized, like, oh yeah, okay, I see it now. There's some instances where you'll get, bridesmaids, groomsmen, whatever it may be, clustered together. So just kind of scrolling through and looking at that, I will find them and I will show you. Yes, that is resolved. So this next update, you should hopefully have zero issues with that. Our initial testing based on all of the sets, as you can see, I have the two. Let me collapse this. So I have the two, same person. It's much more divided out, right? So I zoom in, zoom out, look at each other. Right? That's my, sisters. Look at your favorite sister. And then again, it's just that kind of run through. But yeah, it's much more divided now. Our initial actual testing, we ran it on a bunch of sets that we found where people said that they had issues like that or whatever it is. And in places where on that data set we created, our old model was getting 27 wrong and the new model gets 1 wrong. So we did a lot.
Kiki asks, I can't find the setting where it skips to the next duplicate when I've reviewed them all. Is that a coming up and coming mid-May feature, or is that already live?
The skipping to the next duplicate, that is a mid-May.
Okay. So that's why you can't find it. It is coming.
Preferences, miscellaneous. Not in everyone's hands yet.
Yeah. And I'm just trying to scroll through.
Yeah, do your thing. I just want to give a quick announcement on updating. So if you head to aftershoot.com/downloads, you will have the newest version of everything. But if you are on any version prior to 2.5, you will not be able to revisit your old albums. So we didn't push this update.
And actually, Kiki just pointed that out. She's on 2.4.992. So wrap up whatever you're doing.
Yep.
Then go get that 2.5 point, whatever the current number is.
Exactly.
But wrap up what you're doing first before you go from 2.4 to 2.5.
We'll probably be on 122 by tomorrow. But yeah, so absolutely make sure that you are done with whatever you're doing and then you can upgrade. We did not push this upgrade or this update out to everybody. So
in part for that reason, we didn't want everybody to break.
Exactly. We didn't want everyone to go, oh no, I can't. I was in the middle of a call and then I upgraded and I can't see it. So we didn't really push it out like we normally do. We kind of wanted to let people get through some of their projects and then start nudging them and they see features that they want to try out or whatever it may be. So if you are in a good place where you can either start over anything that's on your system, or you're in a place where you just don't need, any of the calls, you don't need to revisit any of the calls you have. You're more than welcome to go to aftershoot.com/downloads and download the newest version. Again, it won't have the spray can. It won't have the key faces in the grid. It doesn't have all of these things yet because that's the next version that comes out in about 2 weeks. But you can totally upgrade to the latest version if you'd like. Again, aftershoot.com downloads.
Hey, really super question. I thought I saw something where you can save to the external hard drive as the images are importing into AfterShoot. Is this possible? I love to do the backup at the same time.
Yeah. My people. So I am going to give you guys all an affiliate link to Amazon for this thing. This is my best thing ever. This is a multi-card.
Is it a hub?
Reader. Yeah. It's a USB-C hub that takes 4 memory cards at the same time. So as a wedding photographer myself, you can see there's 3 in there. I shot a wedding on Saturday. 3 memory cards from 3 different cameras. Plug it in. I can then come over to here, create a new album. You'll see I have this button over here called ingesting. Ingesting is turned on. So what I'll do is I'll actually select a folder. And I would take, I already ejected my memory card. So I would take my memory card out of my camera, or in this case, all 3 memory cards. Let's see, I got one there. And so then I can actually click import from this folder. So here's the memory cards. I don't even know what this is, so please pray. And then I'll click on start backup and cull. I'll click where I want it to go. So I'll point it towards this hard drive, and it'll be import. And then I'll hit create, select, and then here you can actually choose the secondary hard drive. So on the night of the wedding, I always back up on 2 separate hard drives, and then with another affiliate link, I have this amazing thing that will let you keep all your memory cards organized and in the same place. So I have 3 backups of everything. I have the original memory cards, as well as my backup hard drive, and then my working hard drive in case anything happens. So you could choose your backup hard drive there as well. And then you'll go and click continue, and then it'll automatically allow you to start selecting your settings. And then you can click on start culling. And what it'll do is it'll immediately run through the processes, right? So it'll import your images, ingest them, put them on the hard drives that you told them to go to. We'll cancel and delete because I don't know what those photos are. And then it'll point them at the hard drive like you had requested. And then what it'll do is it'll start culling at the end of that process. So right, once they're on the backup hard drive and your working hard drive, they'll automatically start culling. So like I tell everybody, I get home, I put that 4-card reader in, plug it all in, have it download to 2 separate hard drives, go to sleep, wake up, it's culled. I take my backup hard drive out, I put it in my car to go back to the office, and then yeah, that's it. I have a cold wedding by the time I wake up, and all I had to do was press those couple buttons.
So Simon said, I'm really new to AfterShoot, literally downloaded it yesterday. The live stream is really useful with brilliant questions and answers. And then he asked a brilliant question all on his own. Could I ask where I should go for other tips and video tutorials, please?
Absolutely. So if you pop into tutorials, you'll get to see my beautiful face all the time. Everywhere you go, it's like a Justin show. But yeah, so you'll see them here. We'll always update these as well. I actually just filmed the ingesting video right before this. So we'll have an ingest video going up. I have a list. Let's see. Today I'm making the ingest video, the export process, and then I am doing a how to manually cull for same day edits. I've already done a short guide on different styles of culling. And then we're going to go into advanced settings and keyboard shortcuts as well. So just a quick overview of keyboard shortcuts. So literally there is a ton of videos that will be worked on today, filmed today, edited this week, and then uploaded. So we'll keep adding to it. But yeah, absolutely. These are kind of your big ones, right? So getting started is definitely a good way to kind of get started and understand things. Here's how to kind of understand your selections. And then this one is if you are going from Lightroom to AfterShoot, there's some specific steps that we ask that you take to make sure it's all good. We also have articles in here as well that'll go over some things.
By Lightroom to AfterShoot, you mean there are some people who pull in their photos into Lightroom first and then come do work in AfterShoot and then go back into Lightroom. So we need you to take the right steps so that you don't lose things.
Exactly. Right? Yeah. So for me, I'm that person, unfortunately not by choice, but I have a million weddings that I still have to edit and deliver, but I'm here at AfterShoot testing everything all the time. So a lot of times I actually have like sneak previews and stuff that I've built, and I've culled the same I haven't actually shot is that a million photos? I haven't shot a million photos this year. It's just that I keep culling different projects over and over again under different settings and testing out different things. So like, for instance, this wedding is all the way back from August or September or whatever it may be. And it's culled 30 different ways.
You just keep bringing it in.
I just keep culling, and then I have to follow that process where like, if I've done any editing, I need to save the edits so that they don't get, trampled over when I re-import them back into Lightroom or read that metadata to check my results and that sort of stuff. So yeah, there's a specific process. If your images are in Lightroom already and you have not opened them in AfterShoot and culled them yet, There are specific steps that you need to follow. So you'll find that in the preferences video as well. And, you know, you can always, again, ask questions on our in-app support, or feel free to just chime in on the Facebook group if you need a little guidance.
So Rebecca asked, where do I turn on the option to send feedback to AfterShoot that helps you to keep improving the software? It's on by default.
It's on by default. So, when you click a
the changes, yeah, we're learning from the changes that you're making. It is on by default. And I'm not sure if Rebecca means turning that on, or you pointed out the exclamation point where you can actually like type feedback.
Yep. So that's something that's a manual ride for that, right? So you can just flag it and say this is not they're gonna hate me. I'm not gonna send it.
Right.
But yes, I could absolutely, when you have an issue, you can come in here and just say, hey, this is blurry and it shouldn't be. Or hey,
David asked, follow up to earlier, I want to see all of the images. I don't want the software to automatically hide the duplicates. And so that's just a matter of choosing to see all.
You could, so I think more so what you would like to do is actually just come in, if you turn off the duplicates, we'll no longer cluster them together. So you'll still get your closed eye and blurs knocked out if you'd like. So you'd still have these two categories, but the duplicates, there wouldn't be a duplicates. They'd all just be selected.
Well, it's okay. So they would all be selected, but the other option is if you just want to see everything, you would click on that word all. Yeah, and now you're seeing everything.
Yeah, you could just see everything, correct. Yeah, so if you want to see all the blinks, the blur, everything, you can totally click on all and just see how it goes through. Honestly, this is not like the worst thing ever. I've done it a couple times, just while reviewing images. The more you use AfterShoot, the more your brain kind of associates colors with things, right? Like somebody actually mentioned this to me the other day. They're like, I hated the colors at first, but now I don't even need to look at a star rating or anything, right? The colors just signify, like green means go, red means stop, purple means maybe, you know, like there's closed eyes, so check it out, right? So like, right, this one, you know, I mean,
exactly.
I do the same thing. But yeah. So again, just having those color codes and whatnot. So coming in here and doing it this way, it's very easy for me to look and say like, oh, that's a sneak peek, but I think I'd rather have that one instead. Although I know this, I won't trash talk the camera or this is a lens brand that it had a very soft lens.
So used AfterShoot for the first time. It selected a lot of keepers. What's the best way to use the software to review to get the image numbers down to closer to where I deliver? One of the issues here is we're always going to keep one from every duplicate group, because this starts to get to where a human needs to make the subjective choice in there.
Yeah, so you'll always find that you're going to get extra images. And this is why I kind of tailored my workflow to be a rejection style workflow. So I'd rather start with as many images as I need, right? So like if I shot a wedding at 6,000 images, I'd rather start with 2,500 and get rid of 1,000, because it's super fast to get rid of images than to have to go back in and tweak and adjust and do anything like that, because I can just literally go through and be like, do I want to edit this? No. Do I want to edit this? No. Right. So having that extra stuff is really, you know, I'll shoot like this one I called on pretty lenient settings, right? I went lenient for the blur and lenient for the duplicates. And so
that's the screen I was going to ask you to show. Go back to that screen for a minute, because we haven't talked about this on this video today, but this is also where playing with these parameters is going to make some of those changes for you as well.
Yep. Yeah, so this is where, like, so by choosing lenient, I'm getting almost like half of the photos in this set. I mean, they're very unique individual photos anyways. But yeah, so I'm starting, I find the place that's my happy place to start, right? So where do I feel like I get the most images that I can use, right? So lenient, I tend to get too many images on a wedding, right? I'm just like, oh, there's just like a lot of images I don't need, like way too many I don't need. But moderate seems to be my happy place for how I shoot. And then, like I said, I just go through and I'll just, you the spray can mode is my new favorite tool, but for those who don't have it yet,
coming soon.
Yeah, for those who don't have it yet, I just click on this image and reject it, right? So I don't need to really go in and tweak anything. Like I don't want, let's say I don't want this photo. I don't like it. I just hit the X key. I reject it. Again, just kind of scrolling through, find the stuff I don't want, X key, reject it, move on, right? So like, I don't need this picture. I don't need this picture. I don't need that picture. Just X key is rejecting these all away. So they're all gone. Then I don't need to, don't need to do anything else. Just reject them, save them. And, it's the fastest workflow for me because a lot of times it's helpful, right? In this screen, I'm able to see and I can determine like, hey, do I want to edit all 3 of these images? Heck no. I'm going to find the one that I think is the best. Right. So now I have 3 that I can be like, yeah, you know what? I kind of like this one the best. So I'll just reject this one and then I'll reject that one and I move on. So that's my workflow personally, is just get rid of stuff I don't need. You're always going to get it, right? That's how it's going to work. There's no other, there's no alternate way without a human coming in there and saying, these are the, it's creative decisions, right? Like AfterShoot couldn't tell me whether or not this is a good photo.
Right. They
It's
just
not.
can tell us it's in focus and it's this and that.
Exactly.
And that video that you did in April, which is on YouTube, it's also in the Facebook group and on our Facebook. It's just in the Facebook group and on YouTube, I think, but it is on YouTube. You just sat and you just talked through your own culling process on that video for the most part. Yes.
Yeah, I did. So if you can definitely check that out, and if there's enough people who want it, I'd be more than happy to literally do it again. I was gonna say we should probably
just do that once a month. You cull enough things as it is, so you could just talk through your culling process.
Go through and show you how it works and explain to you what I'm doing to make these things happen. So
one from James. All this stuff's excellent. Now looking out for after reel for video. So write that name down so we're ready. Jason Vincent, when images are grouped together, is there a way to flip through that group without double clicking into the set? Part of this we already covered, but I feel like this is a sneak preview. 2 weeks coming in, or not quite 2 weeks, but mid-May.
No, you can use the grid view. You can. All right, let's find some.
But these key faces and duplicates on the sidebar.
The key faces won't be there, yeah. So you won't have the key faces, but Jason Vincent, hello. But also, yeah, by using the period and comma key on the grid view, so you just click on an image once, or if you use the up and down arrow keys, so you're going through, you can actually just cycle through using the period and comma keys and see all the similar images. The key faces will come on the next update, so you'll be able to see those. But yeah.
Now, one of those sets with multiple duplicates, can you show us one more time the what happens if you if 2 of those were green, then what happens now with the film strip on the bottom?
Oh, you want the fancy thing? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I gotta find one with a lot of duplicates. Hold on.
There were some.
There are some somewhere. It needs to be.
I think you scrolled past them.
Got to have a plus.
Oh, 10. I see what you're saying. Oh.
Yeah, it's not that common. We don't usually. Let's see. Oh no, we gotta have a plus 10. So
Jason, much the replay. There's some cool stuff.
Here you go. All right, here it is. Here it is. So if I'm reviewing the duplicates within the screen, so again, I'm just toggling through. So these 2 were selected, and I can scroll through and see them. Now, if you look down at the bottom of the screen, we're going to skip over one of these images because now we don't need to see that same one that we've already reviewed, right? So it's just skipping past the image that we've already reviewed. So we saw this one.
And how did you do that skip?
Right in the preferences.
No, I mean, was that like a keyboard? Did you do the right arrow?
Yeah, I just did the right arrow. So I just advanced on it. I looked through all my duplicates. It says that they're all reviewed and whatnot. So I've already seen that secondary photo. So when I use the right arrow key, it just skips past it and goes to the next image that hasn't been reviewed. So again, we didn't have to see that twice.
Yes, Simon agrees with us that you should show us your whole calling process. Just do a live where you chat and call at when the next update comes out, and we will share that here.
Yeah, we can definitely do that. We'll make a nice little.
I think we've hit everyone's questions. If we haven't, or if you're watching this on replay, whatever, feel free to leave a comment on the video and we'll come back and address it in the comments. Feel free, support, it's on the top of the screen, so feel free to reach out to support if you have questions. It's in the top menu bar, or there is a dot bottom right hand corner every page on AfterShoot.com, so you can always get to support there. If anything wasn't clear, we're happy to clear it up for you. Like we said, a few of these features are coming soon, so if you can't find them yet, it's okay. No one else can either. But if you're on version 2.4 and you're upgrading to 2.5.xyz, make sure you're done with everything before you upgrade from 2.4 to 2.5 so that you don't lose anything, because you won't be able to reopen them. So yeah, I think that's everything for today.
Yes.
This is a rockin' live.
Yeah, that was a long lunch and learn. I know. About halfway through, I started sliding back in my chair. I was like, I am gonna just go into chill mode here. But yeah, no, definitely. Thank you all for joining us. I will keep you updated. Maybe next week I'll do one of those live calls for you guys so you can kind of see what I do.
And the following week on the 17th, emails will be going out, posts will be going out about this soon. Lindsay Coulter and I will be doing a live where we're going to talk about how she uses AfterShoot and some other various things. So just keep an eye on your email, the Facebook group, etc., and you will get an update of those things.
Awesome. Cool.
Thank you, everyone.
We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Those are cardboard, James.
Don't tell your secret. Okay, they're totally cardboard, and you put a light behind them and they look super cool. I actually, oh no, not by the 17th, but when we do our lives in June, I will actually be in a new location. Maybe I need to
get some cardboard.
No, I'm not decorating the walls. No.
Thanks, James.
Anyways,
bye,
thank
everybody.
you again, everyone.